I guess the EU could unravel. It doesn't feel like 1914 or 1910 or 1935 to most people, does it? So, were you surprised by this speech today?
Well, I'm not surprised to the extent that the approach of the Remain campaign is to raise the stakes. It is to point towards possible Armageddon in a whole variety of different ways. And it was another one of those speeches on that side of the argument that was, I think, deliberately ambiguous. You could have taken the argument as a perfectly rational one, which is to say that at a time when we've got this threat of Daesh terrorists, when we've got the threat from a more belligerent Russia, that it absolutely makes sense for Europe to pull together. And there's you don't have to agree with it, but there's a reasonable case for saying in those circumstances, Britain is stronger within the European Union. But all that imagery of the Battle of Trafalgar in the First World War and the Second World War, implying that somehow if we withdraw, we're on the brink of another great conflagration of that sort, I think most British people will regard that as alarmist.
OK, and he did get some support tonight. I gather from, NATO chiefs have come in.
Yes, let's be clear, on the sort of slightly more prosaic element of his argument, he says the European Union works in tandem with NATO to maintain security. Boris Johnson, Michael Gove say, no, the guarantee of our security is NATO. 5 former NATO Secretary-Generals have written a letter to the Telegraph tonight saying they do believe that our security would be less effective if we were to withdraw from the European Union. So on that issue of practicalities, he's had some important support tonight. It's also been something slightly embarrassing for him, which is that Ian Duncan Smith, who was in his cabinet till quite recently, has given an interview in The Sun in which he alleges that he has proof that Germany had a very important veto during those negotiations over a new deal with the EU. The temperature has been raised in this debate, which is going to run for several more weeks, yet again.